Good day to Miss Anisa and my friends who are watching this video. In this video, we are gonna talk about why multiplying negative and negative will get a positive number. I hope you will find this video insightful. You remember the first time you learned about multiplication? I bet you had to memorize the multiplication table during your primary school. During your memorization, do you notice that the multiplication table like 2 times 3 equal to 6? You are basically multiplying two positive numbers, and the answer to that is another positive number. This result is definitely intuitive to us. How about when you start your high school? Then negative starts to pop up in your nightmares. Your high school teacher told you that positive times positive equals positive, negative times positive is negative, positive times negative is, still negative, and negative times negative is, hold up, it's a positive? Why positive times positive will get positive back and negative times negative becomes positive? Something's up. What is so special about multiplying two negative numbers as opposed to two positive numbers? Why is positive times positive will get the original sign back, but the negative times negative get its signs flipped? If we look at the number line, negative numbers are just positive numbers in the opposite direction of the number line. Something is really, really fishy here. The answer to this very question on why negative times negative is positive lies in, drumroll please, human culture. It is influenced by how human culture developed to exchange and talk about ideas over the history. What are we talking about? Let me tell you what that means. In human speech, there are two fundamental ways to ascertain a truth, right? Truth that's true or false to a given statement. So there is affirmative speech and negative speech. Let's take, for example, the affirmative speech. Affirmative speech is the way to confirm or support a truth. For example, human beings are great. I support you on that. So you are basically ascertaining the truth that it is true. So you are supporting that statement. On the other hand, negative speech is the way to reverse a truth. For example, humans being are great. However, I disagree on that point. You might be thinking, how is this related to our problem? Before we jump into conclusion, let's go back to our mathematical problem. In this example, let's take apples as our analogy. So positive means good apples that were fresh picked from the trees, and negative is rotten apples that has been lying around, I don't know, for 100 years probably. So let's take a look at this first example. Positive times positive is positive. So 2 apples times 2, you are basically telling that I have 2 times more good apples than 2. So you actually have 4 good apples. So you are asserting that you have 2 more good apples. So the n should be a positive number. So you are ascertaining that you have good apples. This is all intuitive. Let's take a look at this next example. Negative times positive is negative. So 2 rotten apples times 2 is still 4 rotten apples. So basically, this positive asserting that you have more rotten apples. So negative times positive equal negative is quite intuitive. So for our third example, positive times negative is negative. So let's say you have 2 good apples. So when I times with negative 2, so I basically have 4, but for what? So in this negative, you are negating that you don't have good apples. So the opposite of good apples is rotten apples. So in the end, you will have 4 rotten apples. So this is how negation works, right? So you are basically saying that the original statement and you act on it and it reverses the truth. For in this case, you have good apples, you times -2, you reverse the truth that you actually have neg- rotten apples, which is the negative. All right, this example is what you guys are waiting for. Negative times negative is positive. So negative means you have two rotten apples and you act on it with times -2. So for the last example, we said that the negative number will reverse the truth, like the good apples become rotten apples. So in this case, if you have a negative, which is the rotten apples, and you act with negative, it reverses the truth. So it became positive. So you actually will have good apples. So negative times negative equals positive makes perfect sense in this way, according to how we perceive, communicate, exchange truths and ideas in our daily life. Basically, positive supports the truth. When a positive number is times with positive, it will bring further along the positive number line. When negative number is times with positive numbers, it will bring along the negative number. So positive supports the truth. On the other hand, when a positive number times with a negative number, it flips the sign from positive to negative. And negative number times with another negative number would flip the negative sign to positive. What does this means? We as humans has unconsciously attached a special meaning to a negative number. Although at first glance, positive and negative are, they are just mirror to each other, nothing special to each other, right? We have set multiplication to a positive number to support a truth, and multiplication to a negative number to reverse the truth. You can think of the multiplication with positive sign and negative sign to be a machine. A positive machine sign speed up the same sign as the input, while the negative sign reverses the sign of the input. There are actually a lot of mathematical axioms or facts like these that were influenced by our culture. Mathematics is not something that is like a hard truth like science. We lay down the rules of the game that make sense, and the result from exploring the consequences of these rules is the mathematics that we see today.